Never before have I seen a documentary that encapsulates the epitome of greatness more than The Last Dance. The story of Michael Jordan and the 1990 Chicago Bulls' rise to power is one of pain, struggle, excellence, and most certainly one of the greatest payoffs in sports history. Let's dive right in.
We have never seen anything like this, Chris reviews. Simply put, he is remarkable. His aversion from the press is creating some concern. His connection with his teammates is unmatched. The energy he brings to YouTube is electric. Could we be witnessing the return of Chris Reviews?
Now, I'm not exactly a sports person. I love college football, I love my Florida Gators, and basketball just wasn't it for me. I would watch Atlanta Hawks games when I was little, Miami Heat games, represent the 305, but basketball as a whole never did it for me as a sport. That being said, this documentary does such a beautiful job of capturing the essence of basketball and what it meant culturally in the 1990s, especially with this Bulls team. And that on its own sold it for me. So what was it about The Last Dance that really caught your attention?
It was well produced. I like that. I like basketball. And I didn't get to watch the Bulls because I wasn't alive then, so it's nice to see.
I think watching the evolution of the team and the games, the way that, it changed over the course of so many years, and Michael's impact on each team each year.
Watching each one of the players of the 90s Bulls grow up and become the legends that they are was such a piece that sold it for me in the show. It's real-life character development that some writers wish they could dream up, and it's pure perfection. Watching how Mike became such a determined individual, how Scottie Pippen became the most dedicated number 2 in the country, how Dennis Rodman became as crazy as he was, and how Phil Jackson became the coach that he was, is such a miraculous, beautiful put together of people that I just couldn't take my eyes away. Now, this all pales in comparison, of course, to watching how the 1997-98 season unfolded. The unease, the tension is all built throughout all 10 episodes. Well, we just watch how that tension builds. We don't follow a documentary on the last season of the Chicago Bulls dynasty. We watch as moments from the past affect the future, and that is what makes this certain documentary near perfect. Now, when it comes to production value, the documentary spared no expense, from taking clips of interviews from the 90s and from the players' early careers to current interviews that they're doing looking back in the seasons, as well as the unprecedented video access that the Chicago Bulls allowed to be filmed during that final season. They believed that there was definitely a spark, something to be told, a story to be told. So they granted a video crew access to just about everything, which leads to a very interesting feel, almost a documentary that should have been made so much longer ago that's finally being put out there with finishing touches, including shots of the games and the scores being shown, and how these clips and these moments in the basketball franchise affected not just the basketball fan base, the American sports fan base, but the world and the culture of that decade.
Who is your favorite player in the 90s Bulls that really stood out in
Dennis Rodman, 100%.
Most definitely Dennis Rodman.
I liked what he did off the field. I thought he was an interesting person.
I mean, it's kind of, to say Michael would be a little bit, but I think watching him from a young guy coming out of college and then watching him develop and become so focused. But also, I think watching Scottie Pippen, that kind of opened my eyes a little bit to what a really good basketball player he was. And I do kind of feel like he ended up in the shadows a little bit, which I hadn't realized before that.
Michael Jordan is the standout of the group. I think, as everybody knows, there are only two that you could say who are comparable to him, and that is Babe Ruth and Muhammad Ali. If you say Tom Brady, you're wrong. I hate to break it to you, that you can't.
And do you feel like this was a story that needed to be told?
Absolutely. There aren't many teams that can do what they did. Three-peating once is almost impossible. Three-peating twice and almost doing it in back-to-back seasons is absolutely impossible.
I really do believe this was a documentary that needed to be made. I think that the story of the 90s Bulls is one that many know. Having 2 three-peats in 10 years, doing the near impossible, was something that people already knew, but seeing the behind the scenes of how it all went down and how the demise of that program came to be, and I think it was a story that needed to be told, not just to sports fanatics, but to everybody, as a warning sign on how to create a team process. And that's what the documentary ultimately is about. A team, a group of people achieving the near impossible, the greatness that was that dynasty. And I can't recommend it any more than that. Watching Michael evolve from being a determined little kid to becoming the GOAT, the greatest of all time, is what he is. I won't sugarcoat it. It's perfect. It's a perfect story for a perfect person. He is flawed. He's had flaws in his life. He was not perfect, and nor were the people around him. But his adversity through these events really just built him to realize that, yes, he is not just the greatest of all time as a basketball player. He's one of the greats of humanity as a whole. As I said before, I'm not a huge basketball person, and I would believe that many of you aren't either. That doesn't matter. It does not. This is not just one of the best documentaries I've ever seen. Scratch that. This is not only the best documentary I have ever seen, but it's one of the best TV shows I've ever seen. It's so well done, so well written, and so well produced that it does feel like something that could have been fabricated from fiction, but this actually happened, which makes it all the more mind-boggling. And before all you Tiger King fans come out here, that show doesn't hold a candle to The Last Dance. That was a fun little time about some rednecks out in Oklahoma. It was a phenomenal documentary, I will admit, but it pales in comparison. It really, really does. I recommend anybody out there, give it a shot. Go watch this documentary. Go watch this series. 10 episodes, 45 minutes each. It is, without a doubt, the greatest documentary I've ever seen, one of the best shows I've ever seen, and I'm going to have to give it a 10 out of 10. Just wanted to say one last time, thank you all for stopping by. Like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like. If not, go play some basketball. I don't know. Watch this documentary. You could be doing that instead of watching this, honestly. But the fact that you're here really speaks numbers. So thank you again, and have a great day. Have a great week. I'll try and upload more consistently than this. And yeah, peace.